Mark earns $420,000 a year on Wall Street. He lives in a luxury apartment in Manhattan, drives a leased Porsche, and sends his kids to an elite private school. On paper, Mark is the textbook definition of the American dream. But there's a brutal reality. Mark is exactly 2 paychecks away from complete bankruptcy. He doesn't own wealth. He owns a $500,000 pair of golden handcuffs. Every single morning, he wakes up at 5 a.m. with a knot in his stomach. He loathes his job. He hates the toxic corporate politics, the grueling 80-hour work weeks, and the relentless, suffocating pressure. But he cannot stop. He cannot take a sabbatical. He cannot transition to a lower-paying passion project, and he can't even afford to take a single week off for sick leave. Why? Because the moment his income drops, his entire kingdom of cards collapses. This isn't just about poor budgeting or a lack of financial discipline. This is a systemic trap designed for the modern professional. It is called the gilded cage syndrome. Across the US and Europe, millions of high-earning individuals are realizing that their climb up the corporate ladder didn't buy them freedom. It only traded their autonomy for a more expensive prison. They are suffering from chronic time poverty, drowning in assets, but entirely bankrupt in control. So how did a high salary become the ultimate trap? And more importantly, how do you unlock the cuffs before it's too late? To understand how Mark and millions like him get trapped, we have to look past the superficial. The average person looks at a $400,000 salary and thinks, just spend less, live in a smaller house, drive a normal car, cook your own meals. It sounds simple, but in reality, it is a structural impossibility. First, let's talk about the operational cost of life. When you are climbing the corporate ladder in London, New York, or Frankfurt and working 80 hours a week, you lose the one resource that makes a low-cost life possible: time. You do not have 30 minutes to look for grocery coupons. You do not have an hour to cook a healthy dinner, or 2 hours to clean the house, mow the lawn, or fix a leaky faucet. Your time is completely monopolized by the firm, and to survive, you are forced to outsource your survival. You pay a premium for premium convenience. You order high-end meal preps because your body will crash on fast food. You pay for premium laundry services because you cannot spend your Sunday morning ironing shirts. You hire personal assistants, use premium ride-sharing services to work on your laptop during the commute, and pay exorbitant fees for emergency late-night childcare. You are not buying luxury. You are buying back the basic hours needed to keep your heart beating and your mind sharp enough to bill another hour for the company. You are literally burning cash just to maintain your human infrastructure. But it gets deeper. This trap isn't just external, it is hardwired into your nervous system. Neuroscience shows us that our brains do not adapt to money the way we think they do. In his research on human productivity and well-being, Ali Abdaal highlights how equilibrity and lifestyle creep affect our neurological baseline. When your income spikes, your brain experiences a massive surge of dopamine. That first business class flight? Incredible. That upscale dinner in Paris? Unforgettable. But your brain is an adaptation machine. Very quickly, that high dopamine experience becomes your new baseline. What used to be a rare luxury becomes the absolute minimum standard required for you to feel just ordinary. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. You have to run faster and spend more just to stay in the exact same place emotionally. Here's the kicker. Downgrading your lifestyle at this point is not just a matter of swallowing your pride. To your brain, a downgrade feels like a literal threat. It triggers the exact same neurological pain receptors as deprivation. When you tell a high earner to move out of their high-security neighborhood, sell the premium SUV, and cancel their private wellness membership, their brain doesn't register saving money. It registers a catastrophic drop in safety, status, and baseline dopamine. They feel like they're starving, even while sitting on a mountain of high-end consumer goods. This is why the old-school financial advice, telling people to just stop buying $5 lattes, completely fails when it hits the realities of high-earning corporate culture. It completely ignores the biological price of psychological comfort. The system creates a perfect, vicious cycle. The job stresses you to the absolute limit. To cope with that stress and numb the burnout, your brain demands high dopamine rewards, expensive vacations, finer wines, elite gyms. But to pay for those rewards, you have to stay chained to the very job that is causing the stress in the first place. You are stuck in a loop of earning to spend and spending to tolerate the earning. Most people look at this situation and assume these professionals are just greedy or vain or completely undisciplined with their money.
They think it's a moral failure, but it isn't. They are simply paying the mandatory entry fee to stay alive inside a hyper-competitive, high-velocity career machine. But make no mistake, this trap isn't just woven by the biological needs of your brain or the simple math of your daily schedule. It is reinforced by something far more terrifying: the invisible, crushing weight of industry culture. Welcome to the unwritten corporate playbook of the Western world. If you work in corporate law, investment banking, or high-end consulting in London, New York, or Paris, your appearance isn't personal, it's transactional. In these industries, there is an unspoken cultural code. You are told that to win elite clients, you must look like the elite. The car you park in the corporate garage, the brand of the watch on your wrist, the neighborhood you live in, these are not mere vanity items. They are your professional business card. They signal competence, authority, and success. Suddenly, your spending undergoes a dangerous mutation. It is no longer categorized as a luxury, it is rebranded as a mandatory business investment. If a high-flying consultant turns up to a pitch with an old, dented Volkswagen, the client doesn't think, "Wow, look how fiscally responsible they are." No, they think, "Why isn't this person successful? If they can't manage their own growth, how can they manage ours?" The pressure to project wealth becomes an operational necessity to keep generating that very wealth. It is an exhausting, hyper-competitive masquerade. You are spending cash you haven't saved to impress clients who are too busy looking at their own balance sheets to actually care. But this cultural peer pressure is just the bait. The real trap snaps shut when you meet the banking system. This is the fixed cost trap. Think about how banks treat an average income earner. If you earn $50,000 a year, the banking system protects you from yourself. They limit your borrowing, they restrict your credit, and they will not allow you to buy an asset that completely crushes your monthly cash flow. But cross that $300,000 threshold, the guardrails vanish. Suddenly, you are the bank's favorite target. Private bankers call you, mortgage brokers pursue you, and they don't offer you modest loans. They offer you multi-million-dollar 30-year commitments. They approve you for mortgages that stretch your massive budget just as thin as a minimum wage worker's, but with massive, terrifying numbers. So you buy the pristine suburban estate in Connecticut or the sleek townhouse in London. You sign up for the premium lease on a luxury SUV, and you enroll your kids in elite private academies where tuition rivals Ivy League costs. And right there, the trap seals tight. Why? Because you have just converted variable, flexible income into rigid, immovable fixed costs. A family earning $80,000 might spend 30% of their income on shelter, and a family earning $400,000 spends that exact same 30% on a massive mortgage. Both families feel completely restricted. Both feel an identical, crushing lack of flexibility. The only difference is that the high earner has far more expensive problems and a much higher cliff to fall off of if things go wrong. Once these lifestyle commitments are established, they function like concrete. Pulling your child out of their school feels like failing them. Selling the estate and moving to a modest apartment feels like a public admission of defeat. Downgrading the luxury car feels like social suicide. The trap tightens precisely because reversing these decisions is psychologically and socially excruciating. Your margin for financial error shrinks to absolute zero. Which brings us to a massive, mind-bending twist. Most people confuse a high income with actual wealth, but author Morgan Housel profoundly notes in The Psychology of Money, wealth is not what you see. Wealth is the luxury cars you chose not to buy. It is the diamond watches you passed up, the first-class upgrades you declined, and the massive mansions you ignored. Wealth is the hidden delta between what you earn and what you spend. It is the unseen capital sitting quietly in investment accounts, accumulating compound interest, completely invisible to the public eye. The doctor driving the leased sports car looks rich, but the quiet software engineer driving a 10-year-old sedan might actually hold $5 million in index funds. The engineer has options, the doctor has bills. The person displaying the illusion of wealth behaves like an employee under siege, while the person accumulating true wealth possesses the ultimate asset, control over their own future. Yet millions of intelligent, highly educated high earners fail this fundamental test every single day. They optimize for current consumption while completely destroying their future flexibility. And when your entire identity is built around a high-spending, high-status lifestyle, you don't just lose your savings, you lose something far more valuable. You lose your ability to say no. When you lose the ability to say no, you enter the darkest phase of this illusion. It is a psychological state known as risk paralysis. Think about it. When your entire massive income is instantly swallowed by fixed costs, private school tuitions, and the heavy price of maintaining your professional status, you cannot afford to take a single step sideways.
You become profoundly fragile. You might completely despise your current job. You might be suffering from chronic burnout, dealing with a toxic boss, or watching your physical health rapidly deteriorate, but you are frozen. You cannot quit. You cannot pivot to a lower-paying startup with massive upside, and you cannot take a 6-month sabbatical to figure out your next career move. Why? Because your lifestyle requires a massive, non-negotiable cash injection every 30 days just to stay afloat. If you stop for even 1 month, your entire gilded castle collapses into immediate foreclosure. This is the ultimate paradox of the high earner. You worked 80 hours a week in your 20s to achieve total independence, but by your late 30s, you have constructed a beautiful, expensive cage. You are no longer an elite professional controlling a high-powered career. You are a captive asset belonging to your own balance sheet. So, how do you break the lock on these golden handcuffs? If you look at mainstream financial advice online, the answers are profoundly disappointing. Traditional gurus love to talk about micro habits. They tell you to skip your $5 latte. They tell you to cancel your Netflix subscription or pack a brown bag lunch to the office. Let's be completely honest. That advice is an insult to your intelligence. Skipping a $5 coffee will never fix a $200,000 systemic structural error. It is a drop of water in a burning desert. To escape a sophisticated trap, you need a sophisticated framework. This is where we turn to the philosophy of Ramit Sethi and his concept of a rich life. Sethi argues that real financial freedom doesn't come from micromanaging the tiny, insignificant details of your daily life. It comes from securing the big wins. If you get the 2 or 3 massive financial decisions completely right, you can practically ignore everything else. And for the modern professional, those 2 massive decisions are almost always your housing and your vehicle. Instead of stretching your high salary to the absolute maximum limit to buy the largest estate the bank will approve, you make a conscious, highly strategic choice. You underbuy. You choose a beautiful, high-quality home that costs significantly less than your peer group expects, and you purchase a reliable premium vehicle instead of leasing a brand new exotic sports car every 24 months. By capping your massive fixed costs early, you preserve a massive delta of free cash flow. That cash flow is your ultimate oxygen supply. It provides the financial margin that allows you to breathe, invest aggressively, and maintain absolute career mobility. But securing the big wins requires a profound psychological shift. It means you must completely redefine what a rich life actually means to you personally. Right now, your spending is likely dictated by external societal expectations. You buy things to satisfy a corporate culture, to impress colleagues, or to avoid looking out of place in your zip code. You are spending money on things you don't truly care about, simply to maintain an image. Sethi's framework challenges you to flip this dynamic entirely. A true rich life means spending extravagantly on the things that bring you deep, authentic happiness, while ruthlessly cutting costs on everything else. If you passionately love world-class travel, you should spend heavily on it, completely guilt-free. If you care deeply about giving your children an elite education, you fund it with joy. But, and here is the vital catch, if you do not genuinely care about driving a leased luxury SUV or living in an oversized suburban mansion just to show off, you cut those expenses down to the bone. You completely refuse to pay the unwritten tax of public perception. Take a moment to write down your own list. What actually moves the needle on your personal happiness? Is it having absolute control over your morning schedule? Is it the freedom to take a risky, exciting career leap without panicking about the mortgage? Is it spending uninterrupted time with your family? Once you align your capital with your authentic internal values rather than your professional ego, the golden handcuffs begin to slip off. You realize that true luxury isn't an accumulation of expensive, high-maintenance status symbols. True luxury is flexibility. True luxury is autonomy. It is the quiet, bulletproof confidence of knowing that you own your time, you own your choices, and you own your life. At the end of the day, money has only one ultimate, supreme utility. It is a tool to buy back absolute control over your time. It is not about accumulating more consumer goods, upgrading to a slightly larger zip code, or winning a status war with your colleagues. If your high income only serves to buy you more expensive clutter while completely stripping away your personal freedom, you are not wealthy. You are just a high-end corporate leaseholder, renting out your sanity to maintain the illusion of success. You are still working for the machine, just inside a slightly nicer cage. True financial power isn't measured by what you can display, it's measured by what you can walk away from. It is the quiet confidence of having enough margin to choose your own projects, protect your health, and control your mornings. Tonight, when you finally shut down your laptop after another grueling, exhausting day at the office, take a long look at the expensive things surrounding your life. Look at the car in the driveway, the premium subscriptions, the high-end apartment, and ask yourself the one question that matters. Do you actually own them, or are they owning you? Have you built a life of true wealth, or have you just bought a more expensive set of golden handcuffs? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments down below. If this video forced you to rethink your financial trajectory, hit that subscribe button. Let's unlock the cage together.